You're listening to the Madness4life News Podcasting Network with your host, Matt Maldonado. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Matt Maldonado, here in FEMA Region 9, Las Vegas, Nevada, and this is Madness4life News. I'm going to be getting into a couple articles here today. It is, first couple articles are, it is not just your imagination. American families are getting poorer. Forsaken and Forgotten from the economic collapse. France opens a Yasser Arafat murder inquiry. Foreign policy editor throwing a fit over growing resistance to Agenda 21, Infowars.com. Now, let's get into this one from the economic collapse. It is not just your imagination. American families are getting poorer. Did you know that Mandarin households, maiden households, income in the United States is lower today than it was when the last recession supposedly ended? If you are in the middle class and an economy recovery, how can this possibly be happening? Stunning new statistics compiled by Center Research show that the U.S. economy is not nearly as healthy as we have been led to believe, according to the study that Centener. It's not Sentinel. It's Centener Research has been released. Maiden households income in the United States was setting at $55,470 back in January of 2000. In December of 2007, when the recession began, it was sitting at $54,916. In June 2009, when the recession supposedly ended, it was sitting at $53,508. Today, it is sitting at $50,964. This is a long-term trend that is definitely going in the wrong direction. The fact that maiden households income in the United States is now 4.8% lower than it was when the last recession ended, in incredible, disturbing, especially such as since all of the things that we buy on a regular basis just keep going up in price. Food, gas, electricity, car insurance, health insurance, all cost a whole lot more today than they did back in the year 2000, and yet maiden household income has dropped 8.1% since that time. So what does all of this mean? It means that American families are getting poorer. Yes, the stock market has been soaring. Corporate profits have set all-time records in recent years, and the big Wall Street banks that were showered with bailouts are obviously thriving, but there has been no economic recovery on Main Street. According to the Centener Research report mentioned above, incomes have been declining in all geographic regions of the country and in all sectors of the economy. Maiden household income for the self-employed has fallen 9.4% since June 2009. Maiden household income for Private sector employees have fallen 4.5% since June 2009. Median household income for government workers has fallen 3.5% since June 2009. Median household income for American living in the West has fallen 8.5% since June 2009. Median household income for American living in the Northeast has fallen 4.9% since June 2009. Median household income for the Americans living in the South has also fallen 4.9% since June 2009. Median household income for Americans living in the Midwest has fallen 1.1% since June 2009. Remember, the recession supposedly ended in June 2009. Since that time, we have supposedly been in a recovery. Not necessarily, even though that's what it's breaking down right now. Since that time, we have supposedly been in a recovery. So if it has seemed to you that American families have been getting poorer, it has not just been your imagination. In a previous article, I entailed 84 statistics that prove that the middle class in America is being systematically destroyed. If you have not read it yet, I encourage you to check it out. At this point, it is obviously undeniable that the middle class in America is declining. The following are just a couple of the numbers from my recent article. According to the Pew Research Center, 61% of all Americans were middle income back in 1971. Today, only 51% of all Americans are. Number two, the Pew Research Center has also found that 85% of middle-class Americans say that it is harder to maintain a middle-class standard of living today compared with 10 years ago. Number three, 62% of middle-class Americans say that they have had a reduced household spending over the past year. Number four, the average net worth of a middle-class family in America has $129,582 in 2001. By 2010, that figure has dropped to $93,150. Number five, according to the Federal Reserve, the maiden net worth of all families in the United States declined from $26,400 in 2007 to $77,300 in 2010. You could find 79 more statistics just like this one right here. It goes to the article from thetruthwins.com, 84 statistics that prove that the decline of the middle class is real and that it is getting worse. That was the same time as this one. Continuing here, at the same time that our incomes are going down, the cost of living just continues to rise steadily. Thanks to Bernanke, American families are being increasingly stretched financially, and if major changes are not made, this is going to get even worse in the years ahead. Another thing that we aren't being told on the nightly news is that the percentage of working age Americans that have jobs is lower today than when the last recession ended. So let's summarize. A small percentage of Americans have jobs today compared to June 2009. Median household income has declined by 4.8% since June 2009. American families are far less wealthy than they were just a few years ago. Are we sure that we are in a economic recovery? Just look at what is happening to our cities. The rest of the world once looked at Detroit in awe. Now it is a global joke. You can see some incredible photographs of the defestering and defestation in Detroit right here. You can go to those clips just by clicking the link, and it goes, "No place like home, 100 crumbling houses that capture the downfall of Detroit." Wow, that is horrible. Look at that. And Detroit looks like a total mess. But hey, you can take that to NAFTA and get. Hey, it's not a giant sucking sound like Ross Perot said. Heaven forbid. Anyway, continuing here. You can see some, this kind of thing is happening on the East Coast as well. I have written many times about how horrible life has become in places such as New Jersey. That's Camden, New Jersey. Well, now the entire Camden police force is being disbanded, and the policing of the city is going to be turned over to the county. We are a mess, and it is time to admit that. Sadly, most Americans simply have no idea how close our economic system really is to total system failure. Only 24.6% of the jobs in this country are good jobs at this point. The veracity of money in our economy has plunged to a post-World War II low. Unemployment is rampant. More than half of all Americans are at least partly financially dependent on the government, and our national debt is crossed the $16 trillion mark. We don't need someone to come in and tweak the economy. Excuse me. We need radical reconstructive surgery, but most Americans do not understand this. Most Americans do not seem to grasp these things until economic hardship tosses them up personally. After all, if you still have a good job and the mainstream media is telling you that everything is going to be okay, it is really easy to pretend that we aren't heading for an economic disaster of unimaginable proportions. A massive problem that we are facing right now is something known as normalcy bias. This is how Wikipedia defines normalcy bias. The normalcy bias, or normality bias refers to a mental state people enter when facing a disaster. It causes people to underestimate both the possibility of a disaster occurring and its possible effects. This often results in situations where people fail to prepare for a disaster, and on a large scale, the failure of governments to include the populace in its disaster preparations. The illumination that is made in the case of the normalcy bias is that such a disaster never has occurred, then it never will occur. It also results in the inability of people to cope with a disaster once it occurs. People with a normalcy bias have difficulties reacting to something they have not experienced before. People also tend to interpret warnings in the most the most different way possible, seizing on any imbecilities to infer a less serious situation. Doesn't that sound exactly like the vast majority of Americans right now? Oh, yes, it does. Most Americans just assume that since we have always recovered from every other economic downturn in the past, that we will always be able to easily handle whatever the future throws at us. If only that was true. We are heading into a time that will be unlike anything any of us have ever experienced before, and many people that have built faith in the system are going to be obviously disfested when this coming crisis blindsides them. You can have blind faith in the system, or you can get prepared for what is coming. The choice is up to you. That's true. You better get prepared. Anyway, going to the next one, Forsaken and Forgotten by the Economic Collapse. Another one. Let's see how much time I got. Okay, good. America is becoming a very cold place. If you don't have money, you don't really matter. You don't really matter much in our society. The ads on television aren't for you. They are directed at people that actually have good jobs and that can afford to buy the nice little extras in life. The politicians aren't really interested in you either. They figure that they can buy your vote with all of the money that they are getting from the wealthy people. When you don't have money, even friends and relatives start to distance themselves from you. Perhaps they are afraid that you will ask them for money, or perhaps they are afraid that your failure will start to rub off on them. When people know that you are struggling for money, the barriers immediately go up. In the United States today, there are tens of millions of people that have been forsaken and forgotten. They mostly stay at home if they still have a home. And for most of them, quite dispersion has become a way of life. Depression has been a way of life. You won't ever read much about them or see them appear much on television because nobody really cares too much about them. As far as society is concerned, they are just way too many of them, and they are a problem that the government should be able to handle anyway. Sadly, the truth is that many communities all across America want obviously nothing to do with those that can't take care of themselves. All over the country, cities are passing laws making it illegal to feed the homeless, and in other instances, cities are actually making it illegal to be homeless. It's illegal to be homeless. That is ridiculous. Unfortunately, this problem is not going away. In fact, the number of Americans living in poverty increases with each passing day. So where do we go from here? And I'm not saying that they didn't pass a law saying that you can't be homeless. I'm just saying it's ridiculous, the fact that they're going to pass a law saying, oh, you can't be homeless. Well, I have no other choice because there's no jobs out for me. It doesn't matter. Go find work. Well, they don't want me there. It doesn't matter. You got to find it. Okay. So I can't build this tent? No. We're going to put you in FEMA camp and we're going to kill you. How about that? Because that's the next step. Anyway, it's just really ridiculous. You know, if they actually lowered taxes and get rid of NAFTA and GATT and get rid of the North American Union and actually allow America to thrive, hey, it would go back to normal. But instead, let's bail out banks. Well, why don't we allow the banks to fail and allow them to actually reassess what their financial problems are instead of the government being involved? But no, we have to have that. That's why we have this problem. Well, not only that, we allow them to do the derivatives market that literally destroyed the stock market and stuff like that and totally implode the country. But hey, I am digressing into another story. Let's continue here. These days, a lot of formerly middle-class Americans are down on their luck and can't even afford to buy enough food. The following is from a recent Yahoo article. Cheryl Parston knows that others are worse off, but she's still hungry as grocery prices creep higher and her income sags. That's not retaliation. It's rotationing her rationing. There we go. Rationing her family's food is a daily task. The 54-year-old mother of 3 and grandmother of 3 in Virginia says there are days she skips meals so her husband and son can eat. If they notice, she says she'll let them think she's fasting. She waters down the milk and juice to make it last longer. She visits food pantries, but it's not enough. Have you ever had to skip meals because you simply could not afford to buy enough food? Yeah, I've done that. Actually, not really. I just didn't eat because I didn't want to. So everybody else can eat. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Anyway, continuing. Have you ever wondered how you were going to make it to the next paycheck? When you look into the eyes of your hungry children and you realize that your best efforts have not been good enough to provide what they need, can be obviously soul crushing. And when you have lost everything, it quickly becomes apparent that most people in society simply just don't care about you. About a third of the country is already on some form of welfare. Another family falling out of the middle class and into poverty is not going to cause anyone to sit up and take notice. The middle class in America is being obviously shredded. And in a recent article I wrote entitled 84 statistics that prove that the decline of the middle class is real and that it is getting worse. I detailed this very clearly, but most Americans don't think about this very much because they are just focused on what is going on in their own little worlds. If they still have their jobs and if their family and friends are still doing okay, then they are likely to believe that everything is just fine. But everything is not fine. According to the Pew Research Center, 61% of all Americans were middle income back in 1971. Today, only 51% of all Americans are middle income. There we go. There aren't enough good jobs in this country, and there never will be enough good jobs ever again. Those that are just entering the job market understand very clearly that there are not enough good jobs. Of the recent college graduates that have been fortunate enough to actually get a job, about half of them have taken jobs that do not even require a college degree. But at least if you have a job, even if it is really crappy, you still matter in this economy. Many of those that are not working at all have been completely forsaken and forgotten. Over the past year, approximately 1.3 million Americans have seen their extended unemployment benefits end. Most of them are considered to have dropped out of the labor force even though they aren't working. They don't have any income coming in, and they are very dispersed. It's not depressed. Is it depressed? No, it's not depressed. It's despite whatever. They are, they are told to go get a job in an economy that does not produce enough jobs for everyone. The music stopped playing and they were left without a seat, and nobody really cares too much. But if you live in the good areas of New York City, Boston, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Seattle, this article might seem like complete nonsense to you. After all, corporate benefits are at an all-time high, and the stores and malls where you live are packed with people. Everyone around you is driving new cars, wearing designer clothes, and using the latest tech gear. It is not like that everywhere in America. There are two America Todays. No, it's two Americas Today. One is swimming in money and is seemingly more prosperous than ever. The other America is a complete and total economic nightmare. Let me try that again. There are two Americas today. One is swimming in money and is seemingly more prosperous than ever. The other America is a complete and total economic nightmare. There we go. Just check out the percentage of blinted properties in some of America's most run-down cities. That was basically, yeah, there we go. There's a list of it. Here we go. Baltimore, 14%. Cleveland, 19%. Youngstown, Ohio, 21%. New Orleans, 21%. Detroit, 24%. Flint, Michigan, 27%. But those are paying millions of dollars for dinky little apartments in New York City. May be wondering what all the fuss is about. Well, in the forgotten areas of America, despair is what people experience on a good day. Unemployment and government dependence are a way of life, and alcohol and drugs are used to dull the pain. The following is from a recent article by Chris Hedges. It describes what life is like in the little town of Gary, West Virginia. Joe and I are sitting in the Tug River Health Clinic in Gary with a registered nurse who does not want her name used. The clinic handles federal and state black lung applications. It runs a program for those addicted to prescription pills. It also handles what in the local, vertical is known as the crazy check. Payments obtained for medical illness from Medicaid or SSI, vital source of income for those whose 5 years of welfare payments have run out. Doctors willing to diagnose a patient as mentally ill are important to economic survival. They come in and want to be diagnosed as soon as they can for the crazy check, the nurse says. They will insist to us they are crazy. They will tell us, I know I'm not right. People are very resigned. They will avoid working by being diagnosed as crazy. The release on government checks and release, there we go, on government checks and a vast array of painkillers and meds has turned towns like Gary into modern opium dens. The the painkillers, Oxycontin, was it for tenorol, whatever, 8 times stronger than morphine, Loratab, as well as a wide variety of yeah, I can't even say it, medications, which as Xanax, whatever, are widely abused. Many top off their daily cocktail. There we go. Their daily cocktail of painkillers at night with sleeping pills and muscle relaxers. And for fun, addicts, especially the young, hold of farm parties in which they combine their pills in a bowl, scoop out handfuls of medication, swallow them, and wait to feel the results as they seize on the ground. I mean, they'll just grab like a pill, put it in their mouth, and then there's like, okay, what's going to happen? And then there's one that's be foaming at the mouth, seizing on the ground. No, that's normal. It says it's normal on the bottle there. It's good. We're getting high, even though we're dying here. Anyway, continuing. There are hundreds of small towns all over America today, just like Gary, that have been forsaken by society. Most people in those towns are just existing and gave up all hope of a better life long ago. That's terrible. Some of these stories are being told in a new documentary film called American Winter. You can view the trailer for the film right here. It is a very powerful 5 minutes and 41 seconds. Sadly, the truth is that there really does not need to be so much suffering in America. Did you know that Americans waste $165 billion worth of food each year? That could serve, that sure fed a lot, that could have sure fed a lot of hungry people. The overwhelming greed that we see in society today is obviously tolerated. For example, Yahoo recently profiled a hoarder who packed her home with $500,000 worth of stuff that she could not resist buying. There are shoe closets, and then there are shoe rooms. Monty, a retired teacher. Is that Monty? Yeah, it's Monty. A retired teacher in her 50s had, was it staggered? That's not staggered. It's stacked $25,000 worth of footwear throughout 6 rooms in her home. Some were original organized by color, but most lay in mountainous piles of cutter in her 4,000 square foot home outside Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, actually. Over a period of 10 years, she spent over $500,000 on clothing, accessories, and home furnishing. All of which lay straddling across her kitchen, entire way in bedrooms, intact. There we go. Tags intact. So she just bought those stuff and didn't even bother to get rid of the tags. Interesting. Both far worse are the rich kids of, was it Stereogram? Yeah. It has apparently become trendy for wealthy kids to take pictures of themselves enjoying their outrageous wealth. It truly is disgusting. Meanwhile, most American families are really struggling to get by. In fact, 77% of all Americans live paycheck to paycheck at least some of the time. And jobless claims are rising again. We are on the verge of another major economic crisis, and that means that millions more Americans are going to lose their jobs and their homes. If you think that things are bad now, just wait, because things are about to get a whole lot worse. Don't be afraid to reach out and help those that are hurting when things are the darkest. That is when heroes are needed the most. And that is it for that one. That is a powerful article, actually. Very good article. Now let's go to this one from RT. You can find all those articles at the economiccollapseblog.com. Now let's go to... Go to RT here with one of the top stories is crap, it's not there anymore. I just took that down. Where is it? Where's it at? Crap, it's not there anymore. It's supposed to be France opens Yasser Arafat murder inquiry, and it's not there anymore. I don't know why. What do? They take it down? They took it down. Where is it? Where did it go? Politics. They took that down. Yeah, you can hear like people moving stuff, so let me be quick here. Here, I'll do a different one. RT, Tropical Storm Isaac becomes hurricane on eve of Katrina anniversary. The U.S. Gulf Coast this is, by the way, this is an RT article. The U.S. Gulf Coast is preparing for Hurricane Isaac, projected to hit New Orleans on the anniversary of the defestering Hurricane Katrina. President Obama has signed an emergency declaration for Louisiana, placing response teams on high alert. So then when they go into Louisiana again, they can take your guns, they can rape your wife and daughter, and it's just going to be a fun thing once it's all done, like they did in Hurricane Katrina. Yeah, they were helping with the relief. They were just really helping out. Doing a psyop on the town of New Orleans, but hey, that's all right. Let's continue here. Isaac was named a hurricane just after 2 p.m. local time. The eve of the storm was located about 75 miles southeast of the mouth of the Mississippi River and headed northwest, according to the National Hurricane Center in Miami. The Category 1 hurricane is expected to have winds of almost 100 miles per hour when it hits land. Isaac's current atrocity puts New Orleans in its path. Hurricane warnings have issued over 500 kilometers from Louisiana to western Florida on Monday. Residents of the coastal areas were advised to vacate ahead of the storm and warned of possible flooding and electrical outages. There we go. President Barack Obama has declared a state of emergency in Louisiana, releasing federal funding for emergency activities. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jundal said the state had already spent about $8 million on a variety of emergency protective measures. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has placed response teams at crisis operation centers and has moved support teams into the areas where the hurricane could hit. When Katrina hit on August 29, 2005, it was a Category 3 hurricane with winds over 125 miles per hour. The devastation claimed the lives of over 1,800 people, most dying when the New Orleans levee system failed, with surging storm waters flooding large areas of the city. Since 2005, the levee system has been rebuilt with over $10 billion being spent on improvements, said Mike Stack. And I bet you those levees are going to break again. We spend a lot of money on this, and then they do it, and it's like, first of all, the levees are still, it doesn't matter. We fixed it. Pocketed most of the money, but we fixed it. It's all right. Okay. The chief of emergency management for the U.S. Army Corporation of Engineers, the system is designed to withstand the 100-year actives. It's in place. It's ready to go. There is no indication right now that the system will have any trouble with this event, he said. Isaac has already claimed 24 lives in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, forcing tens of thousands of vacated their homes over the weekend. And it just continues on. You can see everybody getting prepared for the upcoming hit. Here's one that says, "Come shop again, Mother's Day." Wow. Rain, go away. Well, look at the size of that thing. Yeah, at first it was told that it was a tropical storm, and then out of the blue it turns into a hurricane, which is very strange. I never heard of a tropical storm turning into a hurricane. It usually stays as a tropical storm, only if they actually kind of modified it. But hey, that's okay. Let's move on to InfoWars. Bam, there it is. Okay, this is the last article of the day. Yes, it has to be the last article. Foreign policy editor throwing a fit over growing resistance to Agenda 21. This is from Infowars.com. An article published yesterday in the blog section of Foreign Policy magazine titled Sinister globalist plot exposed in GOP platform draft is yet another attempt by the establishment to put a halt to the anti-Agenda 21 movement, increasingly saying no to the UN action plan and all the guses by in which it attempts to was it Slither, whatever. It's weighed into our personal liberties. The article, written by Foreign Policy Associate Editor Joshua Kinning, builds a classic stray man by using the words plot and sinister in relation to Agenda 21, and by doing so, hoping to discredit the growing awareness of Agenda 21 by increasing amount of people in the United States describing any opposition to binding or unbinding UN treaties, black helicopter territory. Keating quotes the sovereign American leadership section of the draft GOP platform, which reads as follows: "Under our Constitution, treaties become the law of the land." So it is all the more important that the Congress, the Senate, through its ratifying power, and the House through its inappropriating power, shall reject agreements whose long-range impact on the American family is anonymous. That's anonymous. It's anonymous. There we go. Yeah, it's anonymous or unclear. These include the UN conversation on women's rights, the conversation on the rights of the child, the conversation on the rights of persons with disabilities, and the UN Arms Treaty, Trade Treaty, as well as the various declarations from the UN Conference on Environment and Development because of our concern of American sovereignty. Domestic management of our fisheries and our country's long-term energy needs. We have deep reservations about the regulatory, legal, and tax regimes inherent to the Law of the Sea Treaty, and congratulate Senator Republican for blocking it. Rectification. We strongly reject the UN Agenda 21 as result of American sovereignty, and we oppose any form of UN global tax. On the subject of Agenda 21, the associate editor downplays the comprehensiveness of the UN action plan, describing it as can't stop burping here. It as innocent and optional by wrongly. I gotta hurry up here. Wrongly asserting that Agenda 21 doesn't actually legally compile its signatories to do anything. He forgets to mention that the UN plan is implemented mostly by stealth, working indirectly through treaties, non-governmental agencies, and local defensives, thereby bypassing national domestic democratic elective parliaments and their inherent vetoing powers. A total global takeover. Exactly. In his diffuse and lazy article, Karen also felt it necessary to mention InfoWars are aggressively calling the popular website an unproposed conspiracy theory cleaning house. clearinghouse, and describing critical reporting on the UN as fear-mongering in regards to Agenda 21 with a wide brush. Kagan, whatever his name is, continues to equate all criticism of Agenda 21 as fringe. Of course, that without quoting the actual information supporting the fact that UN social engineers are consistently and incrementally implementing their plans for the world through, as the UN itself describes, a comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations system, governments, and major groups in every area in which human impacts on the environment. Excuse me. There is a good reason why the establishment is throwing a fit in the face of increasing resistance to the bureaucrats on assault in the name of the environment. In recent years, the Agenda 21 snake oil salesmen and women have watched their climate change Trojan horse fall apart in front of their eyes. To keep up the appearance of credibility, all criticism to the so-called global consensus is being equated to backwardness. All those questions, the UN and its motives, equated to madmen and racists. This reaction is, of course, a typical panic response, resubtitling a burglar who is being caught red-handed. At a January 25th, 2011, a lecture titled Stabilizing the Global Population, where next for the Millennium Development Goals for Health and Nutrition, Professor Anthony Coastal of the Institute of Global Health told his audience that climate denialism is in the U.S. is a major problem, both cultural and political, that's got to be addressed. Preceding these remarks, stressed that the phrase climate skeptics needs to be removed from the vocabulary when describing those not willing to go along with the disproved and debunked climate change hoax. Another Coastal argument argues the phrase should be replaced by climate denialists. In the following clip from 38 minutes onward, the professor can be seen and heard spouting his dangerous views. How much more time do I got? Crappers, I don't have enough time. I'm gonna try my best to finish. I'll just do one more couple paragraphs. Actually, this paragraph here. I think America is deeply depressing. He stated, because they are 49 out of 50 of the latest Republicans elected to whichever chamber it was were kind of skeptics. I mean, inaudible. I think we should remove the word skeptics, as Chris replied. Says climate denialists, whatever. They don't just don't accept. And there's a major cultural problem, I think, in the United States politically, and that's got to be addressed. Well, they say that they want to actually take you in a FEMA camp and re-educate you if you don't agree with them. So And it just continues on from there. You can follow that at Infowars.com and just type in foreign policy editor throws a fit over growing resistance to Agenda 21. Very good article by Infowars. Now I'm going to be ending this podcast right now by saying thank you so much for listening to me. And if you want to subscribe, just hit that subscribe button on this video. And if you like, you also can follow me on Facebook and also friend me there. And also follow me on other links that I will put below this video, as well as also the song that you heard today was Stay from Close to Modern. And you can follow them on the links below. So I'm going to end it right now by saying thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good night, and God bless America.